crude laboratory in the basement of his home.
Another exciting episode of Fallout 4 Mods Weekly. I've been trying to keep the intros on these a bit shorter, so if you guys like the content, you like what you're seeing, you could leave a like or a comment to help boost the video. You can consider subscribing, but with that, we do have the MP40. This is a pretty crazy weapon. This is one of the most expansive weapon mods I've seen in a long time. So basically, the key feature behind this is there's 3 different guns here. The MP40, just kind of the normal old school version that I'm sure you're all used to. Then you do have a tactical MP40. This has a bunch of rail systems on it. It's kind of a modernized version. Then you have the experimental version. This is actually more or less 2 MP40s stuck together on either side, so you pretty much have double the firepower, and quite literally it does double the damage. You have to reload both magazines in the top, and it's pretty cool. Again, this gun is really expansive because each of these have their own different attachments. Obviously the tactical one is the most expansive in that area. You have a bunch of different scopes that you can use. Then we do get into the textures. There's actually 8K textures available for this weapon. I'm personally only using the 4K ones, which I think still look pretty good. I think the best way to experience it is in first person. If you play in third person, I noticed some different glitches here and there, but the first person, just the look of the gun and the reload animations, I think are just immaculate. Whether you like the MP40 because, well, it's a cool gun, you have the nostalgia effect maybe from being in World War II, or maybe you just used it in a video game a few years ago. The MP40 Tactical is like a modernized version of that. You can have all the tactical attachments that you were missing with other weapon mods, and it really is just very similar to another modern weapon. And then the experimental one is almost like a heavy machine gun. Again, this is a very polished and very exciting mod. I would definitely recommend downloading it because frankly it's a ton of fun to use. Then we do have the Modern Combat Uniform. This is a new outfit mod that's pretty interesting. More or less, it's kind of like a BDU or something that you would see the military use. It has a nice kind of woodland camo on it. I think the best way to use this is actually with some other armor types, as you saw me doing right before. There I was using the Mercenary Pack, but there's a lot of other kind of plate carrier armors that I think could go well with this. I think this mod has a lot to be desired, but I'm simply including it because this is such a desolate category. There are a ton of modern firearms for Fallout 4, but as far as modern apparel and modern military gear goes, you have very few options unless you want to download modern firearms, which many people don't. This is one of the few choices you will have right now, and again, I would love a darker color. I'd love some more proper woodland forest colors. I feel like this one's a little bit too bright, but you definitely still could create some pretty cool combinations, whether you're using the Mercenary Pack or even some of the other mods out there. And if you're using a bunch of modern weapons, it kind of makes sense to have some modern clothing to go along with it. The M16A3 is a brand new weapon from Train CDG. This is a pretty cool gun. I feel like I showed you the 3 major variants that you do have available to you in the intro bit. There's a few different stocks, scopes, and barrel covers that you can choose from to really give this a totally different look and feel. One of the variants actually can pretty much be a recreation of the service rifle. That's the one I personally had the most fun using. Then you also do have an A4 and A3 variant that, again, you really can customize these to make it kind of whatever you want. I really like the look of this gun. The animations are really clean and just go really well. And although there's not too many options outside of the ones I did show you, I definitely think between those 3 you do have a pretty good palette to start off with, and it's something I definitely will find myself using more in the future. So we have Wasteland Heroine Replacer. This is the 3rd iteration of this series of mods. More or less, each of these do take on a bunch of different NPCs from the Commonwealth and overhaul them with a bunch of different visual and kind of appearance mods available right now. This particular iteration is going to take on Marcy Long, Geneva, Scarlet, Irma, Tina DeLuca, Proctor Ingram, Rowdy, and Eve. Again, this is going to be mainly the appearance of these NPCs. Their actual function and quests and all that is left totally untouched, but it's definitely one of those mods that after downloading, you're going to notice a pretty big difference when going through the quests, especially if you're using like companion overhaul mods that improve the faces of people like Piper, because now Piper will look much better than Marcy Long unless you download this mod, and then they'll both look much better. All around, again, this is a great addition, something just to throw on your game and make it look a little bit spicier when you interact with these people.
My
have the AER-14 prototype rifle. This is a gun that did appear in some of the previous Fallout games, and more or less was a work in progress or prototype version of a different kind of laser, a more powerful laser rifle of sorts. Had some plasma integration into it. This is by Captain Ultima, and he really did a great job of integrating this in the game. It is meant to be kind of a unique or legendary weapon. There's only one of them in the world. It's actually found in a pretty cool way that I'm not going to tell you. You might be thinking to yourself, hey, I've seen this before. Well, you haven't seen it like this. All the other variants of this weren't really proper weapon mods. They were either crude retextures or just really not up to a top-notch quality. This one is the top-notch quality. Even beyond that, there's a few other features. It's balanced really well. And one thing the mod author did say is he did make it so there's only so many attachments for this because, again, it is meant to be a prototype variant. All around, again, this is a great mod to include in your game. It really fits into the game quite well because, well, it's from a previous Fallout. And frankly, it's a ton of fun to use. It's pretty powerful, so it's definitely going to be relevant late game. So last but not least, we have the Xbox port of the week, and that's going to be Cross Jetpack. This is a pretty cool mod. Basically, it's going to add in 3 different types of jetpacks. First, the Sprinter, which basically, as you are sprinting, you're going to charge up your jetpack, and then you can jump and have a kind of boosted jump. Not a traditional jetpack per se, but still pretty cool. Then you do have a standard jetpack. This is just going to be a normal jetpack like you found on Power Armor, but now it's going to be based off your AP instead, and you, well, can use it without Power Armor. Then finally, you do have an upgraded standard jetpack, and basically that's going to be the culmination of those two. So you have the sprinting effect as well as the just regular jetpack effect. So you could use them together. You could use either one. All around, this is a pretty cool mod for those of us that do want the ability to fly around, but at the same time don't necessarily like the kind of clunkiness that does come along with Power Armor. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. As always, I do hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you are having a great Memorial Day. I know I am. But with that, I'll see you guys all next time. Later.